Here are 3 secrets about Islamic finance I wish I'd known 20 years ago. My name is Farouk, aka Muslim Money Guy. I'm a financial educator who teaches Muslims simple frameworks to invest well, give more, and stress less about money. And in this video, we're looking at 3 secrets about Islamic finance that are hidden in plain sight. Our first secret begins in the 1970s. It is in the 1970s that the first Islamic banks emerged in the Muslim majority world. In 1975, both the Islamic Development Bank and Dubai Islamic Bank are founded. In the following year, there is the first conference on Islamic economics held in Mecca. And then in the 80s and 90s, several new banks and investing opportunities emerge in Islamic finance. The industry has grown significantly since its founding in the 1970s. But here's the thing about the 1970s. The 1970s was not that long ago, especially when you compare the beginning of Islamic finance to the beginning of conventional finance. Conventional finance is the standard system we get when we're not dealing with Islamic finance. It's the global system for handling money, investments, loans, currency, etc. It's the bank down the street, and it's all around us. Conventional finance gets its start way back in the 17th century, when the first central banks begin to emerge in Europe. Conventional finance develops lockstep with industrial capitalism. And it has a 350-year head start on Islamic finance. But that's not all. Conventional finance develops alongside European colonial expansion. This is when European powers are expanding into South Asia, Southeast Asia, the Levant, North Africa, and more. And with colonial expansion comes the imposition of colonial systems in all aspects of life, including finance and money. European conventional finance is imposed on much of the Muslim majority world. This is happening at the public level, in which European powers are imposing financial controls and debt management systems. It's happening at the private level as well, in which European powers are imposing Western banking practices and institutions like the British Bank of the Middle East. Conventional finance has a 350-year head start, but it also is imposing itself on much of the Muslim majority world. Islamic finance, on the other hand, just got its start in the 1970s. What that means is that modern Islamic finance is quite young. You'll often hear terms from the pre-modern world tossed around in Islamic finance. Those are all signifiers of the attempts by practitioners of modern Islamic finance to find ways to implement the principles from these pre-modern ideas into modern financial instruments. But modern Islamic finance is quite modern and quite young. The second secret is about Islamic finance's big ambitions. At its best, Islamic finance tries to incorporate principles of the Quran, Sunnah, and Islamic tradition into modern-day finance. And so, in principle, it seeks to be a system that promotes fairness, justice, and balance. And functionally, it's trying to be a system that is an alternative to the riba-based conventional finance system. But for the most part, these goals are largely aspirational. And that's because, given how young Islamic finance is, and given the global financial system that it needs to operate in, Islamic finance is often a practice of deciding which compromises to make in order to best approximate the goals it has. As a result, in the market, what you'll find at worst in the Islamic finance world is label swaps, simply taking conventional financial products and swapping words and then labeling the financial product Islamic or halal. That's at worst. Often, however, Islamic finance is an attempt to filter out non-compliant components in conventional financial products. Sometimes that means Muslim scholars or Islamic finance experts restructuring contracts to make them more compliant. But what you'll notice is that Islamic finance is not a complete alternative to conventional finance. In fact, conventional finance is almost always connected. Whether we're talking about home purchasing, investment funds, corporate financing, Islamic finance cannot escape being touched in some major ways by conventional finance. Which takes us to our second secret about Islamic finance, which is that modern Islamic finance is tethered to conventional finance. It's not quite a full, complete alternative. The third secret about Islamic finance is about the products. This secret is one that I wish I had known 15 years ago when my wife and I were looking to buy a home. We'd spent a few years teaching abroad, and so because we were moving back, we thought it was a good time to buy a home. We saved up enough for a sizable down payment, but we only wanted to buy with an Islamic financing option. At the time, there was only one Islamic financing option available to us. So we took it. We had the down payment, we found the home, and among all the conventional mortgage options out there in the market, there was one halal, Sharia compliant Islamic option available to us. And so it seemed like a no-brainer. But there was one major issue with the choice that we made. The Islamic financing option was a lot more expensive. Twice as expensive as the conventional options that were available to us. Frankly, it was too expensive for us. But we chose it because it seemed so obvious. Among all of the conventional options, there was one Islamic option available to us, and so we jumped on it. But that was a false choice. We had a third option. Rather than choosing a conventional mortgage or an Islamic mortgage, we could have chosen to rent. Looking back now, renting would have been a wiser choice. We should have rented for a while and waited for more options to emerge. But at the time, I was blinded to the full range of options I had because of something that I call the halal halo effect. The halal halo effect is overestimating the suitability of an Islamic product just because it's deemed Islamic, halal, or Sharia compliant. The thing to remember is, Islamic finance products are still products. They need to be considered within the full range of options available. For us, that would have meant not assuming that the Islamic mortgage option was naturally suitable to us because it happened to be deemed Islamic or Sharia compliant, but first we could have used one of the many available calculators online to help us decide whether or not the cost of purchasing a home made sense or if renting for a while made more sense. Just because we have a product that emerges from the Islamic finance industry does not mean that it's the best option for us. Put more plainly, and secret number 3 for us, just because a product is compliant does not mean that it's a smart choice for us. And so there you have it. 3 secrets about Islamic finance I wish I'd known 20 years ago. First, modern Islamic finance is very young. Second, modern Islamic finance is tethered to conventional finance. It's not quite the full alternative it wants to be. And 3, just because something is compliant does not mean that it's smart. If you found this video useful, please consider subscribing, liking, or sharing. Assalamu alaikum.